What if this night wasn't about fear, but remembrance? For thousands of years, the ancestors walked beside the living, and the veil between worlds was thin. Discover the hidden truth behind autumn's greatest celebration. There is a night in the turning of the year when the air itself seems to whisper, when the veil between seen and unseen thins, and the worlds draw close once more. The winds carry the scent of smoke and apples, and something ancient stirs beneath the surface of our celebrations. We call it Halloween. But long before the carved pumpkins and sugar-coated rituals, it was known by another name, Samhain, the Celtic festival that marked the death of the old year and the birth of the new. Thousands of years ago, when the land was wild and time was measured by the rhythm of stars and harvests, the people of the ancient Celtic world gathered at the cross-quarter, halfway between the autumn equinox and the winter solstice. To them, this was no mere date on a calendar. It was a sacred passage, the time when the sun's strength faded and darkness returned to reign. But to these early souls, darkness was not feared as evil. It was the womb of rebirth, the resting place of all things before they awaken again. Samhain was not a night of terror, it was a night of transition, when the boundary between life and death grew thin, and the ancestors were said to walk once more among the living. The Celts lit great bonfires on the hills, flames that danced against the encroaching dark. Villagers gathered in circles, sharing food, drink, and stories to honor those who had passed beyond the veil. It was believed that on this night, the spirits of loved ones could return home, seeking warmth by the hearth and blessing those who remembered them. To welcome them, doors were left open and places set at the table. To ward away restless or mischievous spirits, people donned disguises of animal hides and masks, the earliest origins of the costumes we wear today. It was not about fear, but balance, honoring both light and shadow, both protection and invitation. In those times, the world was alive with spirit. The Celts knew the earth breathed, that fire spoke, and that death was not an ending but a continuation, another step along the spiral path of existence. Samhain, then, was not about monsters or ghosts, but remembering that we are part of a great cycle: birth, death, rebirth, eternal change. But the wheel of history turned, and new powers rose. As Christianity spread through Europe, old ways were either woven into its new fabric or buried beneath it. The Church, seeking to replace the ancient festival, declared November 1st as All Saints' Day, All Hallows, a day to honor holy souls instead of ancestral ones. The night before became All Hallows Eve, and from those words, Halloween was born. Yet, as with all sacred things, the essence could not be erased, only transformed. Beneath the new names, the old meanings whispered still. The fires were smaller, the rites more hidden, but the remembrance of death and renewal remained. Even the Church's traditions of praying for the dead, lighting candles, and tolling bells were echoes of older Celtic customs. In Ireland and Scotland, families continued to carve turnips into lanterns to light the way for wandering spirits, the ancestors of our modern pumpkins. When Irish immigrants carried their traditions to America in the 19th century, they found pumpkins easier to carve, and thus the glowing orange faces we know today came into being. But what was once a sacred honoring slowly became a carnival of fears and games. The deep symbolism of death as transformation, of facing the shadow with courage and reverence, began to fade beneath layers of superstition and commercialization. Yet still, something ancient lingers in the bones of this night. Every candle lit inside a pumpkin is a small echo of the fires once kindled on Samhain hills. Every child masked in costume is a reflection of the old disguises, meant not to frighten, but to dance with the unknown. The heart of Halloween has always been the meeting place between worlds. The physical and spiritual, the living and the dead, the shadow and the light, all merge here, reminding us that we are more than flesh and time. In truth, Samhain was a teacher. It taught that to live, we must first face the dark. That endings are the fertile ground for beginnings. That love endures beyond death, and memory is a bridge across eternity. The Druids, keepers of the old mysteries, would gather on this night to divine the year ahead, gazing into flames and stars, reading the language of the unseen. They knew that what we fear in darkness is often just what we have forgotten within ourselves. In later centuries, folk rituals grew. Apples were used for divination, mirrors for glimpsing the future, dreams for hearing messages from departed kin. The night became a mirror of the soul, reflecting our deepest desires and fears. And perhaps that is why Halloween still captivates us. Beneath the costumes and candies lies a deeper instinct, the need to remember the mystery of existence. To face what we do not understand, and in doing so, rediscover who we are. Because within every shadow lies the potential for light. Within every death, the whisper of new life. Within every ending, the seed of a beginning. The modern world may have forgotten the sacred language of the seasons, but the earth still remembers. The trees shed their leaves not in mourning, but in trust. The soil receives them, and life begins again. So on this night, whether you light a candle, whisper a name, or simply feel the chill of autumn air, know that you are part of the same ancient rhythm. You walk where countless souls once walked. You breathe the same wind that carried their prayers. Halloween, in its truest form, is not about fear, it is about remembrance. It is about love that outlives time. It is about the eternal dance between form and formless, darkness and dawn. And maybe, when the night grows quiet and the stars burn a little brighter, you'll feel them, the ancestors, the loved ones, the unseen guardians, standing close beside you. Not haunting you, but reminding you that you are never alone. So light your lantern. Honor your shadow. Celebrate the turning of the wheel. For this night is holy, as all nights are holy. And though the veil may thin, it is not meant to divide. Only to remind us that everything and everyone is connected, in light, in death, in endless becoming. And when the dawn comes, and the veil lifts once more, may you carry a spark of that ancient fire within you. A quiet knowing that even in darkness, you are the light that never dies. Thank you so much for joining me on this journey through Samhain, the turning of the wheel, and the whispers of the ancestors. If this video resonated with you, please give it a like. It truly helps others find this space. And if you'd like to walk further along this path of remembrance, healing, and spiritual discovery, make sure to subscribe And tap the bell so you'll know when the next video or meditation is released. Until then, stay grounded, stay connected, and may the light of your spirit always guide you home.